Good evening and welcome to the regular council meeting of Tuesday, October 1st, 2024 at 4:40 p.m. in council chambers and via Zoom. We acknowledge that the town of Kirkland Lake is located on the traditional territory of Algonquin peoples, including Beaver House First Nation and unceded territory of other Indigenous peoples. We recognize the presence of the Algonquin, Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Cree, and Métis people in our community since time immemorial and honor their stewardship and care of these lands. We hereby affirm our continued commitment and responsibility to reconciliation. Call to order and a moment of silence. Item number 2, approval of the agenda. Can I have a mover? Councillor Dykens and seconded by Councillor Owen.
Moved by Councillor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen, be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, October 1st, 2024 be approved as circulated. And finally, that section 33 of procedural bylaw 1575 as amended be lifted for matters noted under section 4 petitions and delegations only, to relax the rules on discussions between members of the public and to also allow administration to openly participate in the discussion where required.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 3, declaration of pecuniary interest. Councillor Kiley.
I, Patrick Kiley, am declaring direct, deemed, and or indirect pecuniary interest on the agenda of October 1st. Agenda item, KL Beautification Committee. It is deemed that this may affect my parent, my spouse, or my sister. My sister is presenting to council on a request towards this committee by way of in-kind donation.
Thank you. Do you want to dispense it? Thank you. Thank you. I too, Stacey White, am declaring direct pecuniary interest on the agenda meeting dated October 1st, 2024 in open session. Agenda item number 4.1, agenda title Kirkland Lake Beautification Committee Delegation. It is direct. I am a member of a body. The nature of my interest is as follows. I am an active member of this volunteer committee. So thank you. Anything further from the table? None noted. Item number 4 is petitions and delegations, and I will request acting Mayor Shabbat to take the chair.
Good afternoon. You ready? Okay, item 4.1. Kirkland Lake Beautification Committee request for sunshades, bus stops, flower beds, information board, and digital event calendar. May I call Michelle Whelan and Bob Kiley to step forward and give those representation.
Oh, sorry.
Over here. This is a warm one. This is scary. Good
Welcome.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mayor. And the other mayor and council members and employees of Kirkland Lake and the press and the members of the public. I'm Barb Kiley and I'm Michelle Whalen. We're part of a volunteer beautification group of Kirkland Lake. It really is. On Facebook, we're called a committee, but we're actually an interest group. We're a bunch of volunteers that just got together and had coffee and actually talked about the appearance of Kirkland Lake, looking at ways to make it look neat and tidy and a little bit more attractive. And so we actually formed a Facebook group and got a group of people together to actually pick up litter. And we had dozens and dozens of folks come out and they picked up litter in the spring, probably for a couple of weeks. And I think it really made a difference. And you folks actually provided bins, I believe, and it was a really successful campaign. our interest groups are comprised of all volunteers, and we just wanted the place to look a little bit more appealing and attract people to come live here. So we meet for coffee and we just discuss ways to actually how we can make a difference in the community. And who's on that group? Basically, it's a core group. Michelle comes, I come, Leslie Kirchmeyer comes, Diana Rivera, Stacy, Athena, yes, Athena Lacarte has been a spearhead, and Stacy comes as a resource person for the town. So, but we're all volunteers and it's pretty informal. We don't even have a terms of reference. We're just a group of people getting together to offer our help to the community. So we do have a chat line and we discuss different things throughout the months. And the Facebook page has about 247 volunteers as of today. So people are interested in helping out. And they actually submit a lot of ideas and suggest activities. We just identify problem areas, and we've been known to clean up graffiti, and maybe you can talk about that piece a bit.
We've had, as a group, tried to identify places that, as a common group, we had common interests to try and beautify the town. I think that was something that was discussed regularly. Areas that had graffiti, or there was no garbage cans, or solutions, with the term of being a good neighbor and not laying blame or anything, but trying to engage people in the community to take part and be proud of the community and coming up with solutions. So in doing so, we approached initially, Pagoda was identified as a building that had graffiti. Hogarth's Interiors was very generous in donating paint for the situation to be rectified. And then Pagoda was also very willing to pay for the paint supplies. So there's people that they're interested in cleaning up the town. So we did these, as Barb said, these informal meetings, and people were identifying areas of not so much concerns, but that could be even improved upon. And one of those areas was Kinross Pond. It came to our attention that when Mayor Bill Enoy passed away, there was a fund that was created with regards to beautifying Kinross Pond. And those monies were left in trust with the town. Am I right there, correct? And I guess when we were looking at Kinross, a concern that came up regularly was that there was no shade in that area at all. I had submitted a request to Kim Clockers with regards to securing some kind of monies from the Bill Enoy Fund used for the shaded area. And I guess that's what we're here for you today, is to consider that. Again, for the betterment of the community, where the kids play, there's absolutely no area of shade anymore. And it was something to be considered, I guess.
Yeah, it was a suggestion that you might keep in mind with your planning. And we just thought this was a good venue to express that. The other thing that we talked about were bus stops.
I think, again, as this community largely on Facebook, we opened the messenger groups to the public and asked them to identify areas that were concerned to them. Cigarette butts throughout the community were also an issue. We were looking at ways to rectify that or solutions, asking the town if it was possible to secure butt stops and place them strategically throughout the town. We as a committee can certainly publicize that they're there and encourage people to use them. If it is something that you see, you can support.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Couple of things.
Sure, go ahead. Barb.
One thing might be, I know that you have supported and you've executed some beautiful, beautiful memorial benches in town. And we were thinking that it would be great if we had memorial flower planters. And somehow, if that could be executed and get that opportunity for people to donate towards it, would be great. We see that there's some interest in the community to support that, so just as a FYI for you.
I think that was something that was introduced during the 100th anniversary of Curtin Lake. People could purchase a flower bed and a flower garden in the planters, and they were placed strategically for the community. And at that time, it was a temporary in memorial page that was put on the planter, but something more permanent where you could have that. And it would be a means of beautification, it would be a means of securing funds. And again, just enhancing the overall appearance of the community. So.
Okay, and down, Barb, you sure?
Yes, and I know on your agenda, it talked about an information board and I think common website perhaps. I think I'll come back to council and do that at a separate time.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, thank you very much, but before you go, I'm gonna open the floor, to, members here and see if they have any questions, comments for you. Yes, go ahead.
Through you, acting mayor. Just very recently, I had someone from out of town comment to me that, if someone hadn't been to Kirkland Lake in the last 10 years and they came to Kirkland Lake today, they would see a big difference in terms of improvement to how the town looks. And, I don't know what they did with the flowers downtown, but I think they put them on steroids this year, but it's amazing. You know, those flower boxes, so I'm very pleased to see this committee formed and. You know, council, I'm sure will support you the best we can, keeping in mind that. We have to serve all taxpayers and taxpayers don't like. Tax increases, so.
Well, I think that our solutions are not a means of you divvying up money that is town money. I
No,
think the Bill Enoy money is there, and that's something that we would be happy to contribute to in the future. And also the memorial planters would be something that would be sold where there would be revenue generated from that, so that it's not an incurred expense. And I think that, you know, people that have lived their whole life in Kirkland Lake know what it once was. I don't know if that will ever be again, but there's no reason where we live cannot look reasonable.
Yeah.
And I think that without laying blame, the approach of being a good neighbor. And, you know, we've helped elderly people in the community, we've clipped trees, we've done things like that. That didn't require a big publicity stunt or anything like that, but that was the whole approach in trying to beautify the town.
Yes, yes. No,
Just
go ahead.
thanks for coming to the council. It's great when community members come forward and help the community out. Hopefully we can help you guys out when we can.
Anything else, Counselor? Okay, I just had a question for you, I don't have my stuff here. How much are you looking for? Like, you think you wanted some amount of money, like, do you have any?
So I had asked Kim Clockers to secure a quote with regards to a sunshade for Kinross Pond. She returned to me, and this was very new when she was in the position, so this is not.
Okay, if you don't know, that's fine. Yeah.
No, but it was more than what she had wanted to spend, and I asked, could we have quotes then? And look at that and how much is available. I'm not asking for, we're just looking for some shade. And you know what, if it's improved next year and then improved upon the year after, that's great. So there's a starting point.
And there, these expenses would be probably presented, through council. During the 2025 budget deliberation. So if you want to say that. Because it's outside of the scope of the budget of this year, so I don't know if you want to identify that, it's still council.
I don't think it's budget money though.
No, I don't say that, because dealing with that.
I don't think it's
Well, then you
budget
can
money.
ask the director to come.
Okay.
Into it.
I will do that. Okay, yeah, just go, can you go for a minute? Can you speak to this fund and maybe the director can come up to talk about how we can help going forward, please?
I think I will ask Karen to come up here and address this. So we would have to address any requests that are budgetary nature next year. The fund that you mentioned, if we can give a brief description what that fund is and more about the background to that fund.
Yeah, so I did ask our deputy treasurer what the amount in the reserve was. I can't recall the exact amount, it was around $8,000. And I did secure one quote for a sunshade, and it was roughly 8,000 with installation. So that would deplete the entire fund at that point, but if that's the will of council, you can forward a report to utilize that fund for that.
Okay, just pull up a second. Yes, Councillor.
To you, acting mayor, to director, what is the, I know a little bit about that fund, but is there directives of how it can be used? Or is it pretty wide open?
Yeah, through you, acting mayor. I'm not extremely familiar with it. It's a report that would go to council. Ultimately, it is a council decision. At the recommendation of the director and senior management team.
Yes,
Through you, acting mayor. I agree with you 100% that there is no shade in that area. As you can tell, I'm a fan of one of the businesses there. It is an extremely highly used playground. And that's the whole point I want to make, is that it is one of the most used playgrounds as far as I can tell. I don't go to all the playgrounds, but it's extremely highly used, and I never thought about shade, but there is absolutely no shade at that playground. So,
yeah,
Through you, acting mayor, somebody else brought that up to me, and I know that there's a tree or two that are in their infancy stage, so they will grow, but, yeah, where people are eating or where, yeah, it's pretty hot there, so I don't know if trees or the shade thing are the answers. I know it takes time for trees to grow.
Sure, yeah, I think what we'll do is we have to look more into this and really understand the motivation behind that fund. And look at the beautification goals of the town and all that. And we can come back with a recommendation on how those funds should be spent. So we shall review this.
Thank you.
well, thank you
Thanks.
very much for coming here, and hope to see you again, another topic. Okay. Okay, we have a motion to accept, which moved by Councillor Owens, seconded by Councillor Owens.
Moved by Councillor Casey Owens, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen, be resolved that the delegation be received for information.
All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Shaba. I do appreciate that. Item number 4.2 will be removed this evening as the individuals identified are not in chambers. Moving on. Item number 5.1, council minutes. May I have a mover? Councillor Owen, second. Councillor Shaba.
Moved by Councillor Rick Owens, seconded by Councillor Lod Shabbat, be it resolved that council approve the minutes of the following meeting, minutes of the regular meeting of council held September 17th, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 5.2, can I have a mover? Councillor Kylie, seconded. Councillor Owens.
Moved by Councillor Patrick Kylie, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens. Be it resolved the council received the minutes of the following meetings. Minutes of the Kirkland Lake Public Library Board held June 20th, 2024. Minutes of the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board of Directors held July 17th, 2024. And minutes of the Temiskaming Health Unit Board of Health held June 12th, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 6, reports of municipal officers and communications. Can I have a mover? Councillor Shaba, seconded by Councillor Owen.
Moved by Councillor Lod Shabbat, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen, be it resolved that report number 2024 ADM 17 entitled Request for Parade Permit KLDCC Santa Claus Parade be received, and that council direct that a parade permit be issued to the Kirkland Lake District Chamber of Commerce for Friday, November 22nd, 2024, between the hours of 6:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. And finally, the council hereby waives a $100 permit fee requirement as outlined in bylaw 8665.
Welcome Amberly Spellman, Deputy Clerk and Lottery Licensing Officer.
Thank you. So good evening, council, through you, Madam Mayor. The Kirkland Lake Chamber of Commerce is requesting permission to host their annual Santa Claus Parade. Will be hosted on.
Sorry, pardon me. Amberly, I need to declare pecuniary interest on this.
Okay.
Sorry, by virtue of it is a direct.
You'll have to read.
Yeah,
Give me a second.
I was gonna try to do it by.
I gotta read off. It's like,
I do apologize, yeah. Yeah. It's not one of my committees, but it's a committee by virtue of the office, so I forgot.
Or are you? going to-
Yeah, Counselor
Okay.
Kylie would be able to. 6.1, unless he's gonna. Again, yeah, no. I do. Okay, sorry. I, Stacy White, am declaring a direct pecuniary interest on the agenda of October 1st, 2024 in open session on item number 6.1, request for parade permit. It is indirect as I am a member of a body by virtue, the nature of my interest is as follows. By virtue of being mayor, I do sit on this entity. So acting Mayor Kylie, I will ask you to take the chair.
Item 6.1, request for parade permit for the Santa Claus parade, Hamburg Spillman.
All right, so good evening again, council, and through you, acting mayor. The Kirkland Lake Chamber of Commerce is requesting permission to host their annual Santa Claus parade on Friday, November 22nd, between the hours of 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. There were no objections expressed from the local OPP detachment, fire services, public works, or development and enterprise services departments. In terms of road closures, parade volunteers coordinate requests directly through the public works department, who then ensure the road closure notices are shared on the town social media. All permits note that the requesting agencies are responsible for ensuring the supplied road closing barricades are installed, and that failing to install them may result in a charge of staff time to ensure the safety of pedestrians. The clerk's office also reiterates this upon permit issuance. Historically, no fees have been collected from any requesting organizations for parade permits. As such, council is being presented with a recommendation to formally waive the requirement as outlined in bylaw 8665. The requesting agency provides the town with a certificate of insurance annually. Administration foresees no issue with council approving a parade permit for this type of historical community event, allowing the parade to go forward, and will promote positive community partnerships in line with council's strategic priorities. Available for any questions.
Any comments from councilors? None noted.
You can ask them if you want me to repeat the resolution, if they're fine to call for the vote.
You already read it.
Yeah.
We'll vote on that. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Kylie. We'll move on to item 6.2, proposed administrative services holiday closure. May I have a mover? Counselor Shabba, seconded. Counselor Kylie.
Moved by Counselor Lon Samuel, seconded by Counselor Patrick Kylie. Be it resolved that report number 2024 CAO 10 entitled Proposed Administrative Services Holiday Closure Pilot be received, and that council authorizes service level change to allow for certain administrative services to be unavailable and certain facility closures for a holiday break pilot commencing Christmas Eve 2024 and ending after New Year's Day 2025 as presented, and finding that any overall deficit resulting from the pilot be drawn from the town's working capital reserve.
Thank you. CAO Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, to members of council. So presently, administration is currently implementing a variety of employee wellness initiatives with events like Family Fun Days, Employee Appreciation Barbecue we held recently, the upcoming 12 days of Christmas giveaway contests. We also host life planning workshops for staff. This year, council also approved enhanced benefits policy. And currently administration are in the process of implementing an employee engagement survey to obtain staff's input on our workplace. In order to continue to strive to be that employer of choice as highlighted in the corporate strategic plan, administration is proposing a pilot holiday closure for non-union administrative staff from Christmas Eve 2024 to after New Year's Day 2025 to enhance employee well-being and operational efficiency without having staff using their accrued time off, except the CAO and directors who would be expected to use 3 days of accruals. 3 extra days of closure consists of the morning of the 24th, so an extra half day more, as normally we close on the afternoon of the 24th. 1 new day for the 27th, 1 new day for the 30th, and also the morning of the 31st for a half day. This totals 3 days in total. Many Ontario municipalities already have similar holiday closures, aligning with local school board schedules and supporting employee well-being. Thus, the proposed closure aims to support employees with childcare constraints during the holiday season and position the town as an employer of choice by offering extended time off. During the holiday season, usually see the offices having a slowdown. Even with less public interaction, we are still having to maintain services with less people, thus not providing, to argue, optimal service for the public expect. However, essential services like public works, fire and emergency services, and long-term care will continue to operate during the holiday closure. Similarly, programs offered by the Community Services Department that the public expects will be available. The landfill will also remain open with the exception of Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, when it will close at noon. What is the cost of the proposed closure? There would be a cost if those 3 days of vacation time were to be carried over to next year or would be paid out. Worst case scenario is approximately $35,500. However, managers will be working with their administrative staff that have already booked off the days of the proposed closure and have them take those 3 days prior to December 24th. Now, there might be a case of a director having to call in an administrative person if a situation presents itself. For example, it might be a payroll issue that the treasurer may have to bring in staff. In that case, the individual would bank that time. If there are costs, it's expected to be absorbed into the department's respective budget. However, if this pilot results in a deficit situation for the corporation, the funds would be covered through the working capital reserve. Again, we're looking at very low cost. An implementation plan will be undertaken with regards to communications, operational adjustments, and a method of receiving feedback from employees. And this feedback, along with the resulting costs, will be presented to council in a report in the first quarter of next year. This will enable council to determine if this closure should be undertaken in the following years. The town of Kirkland Lake is making significant progress to become an employer of choice, offering an extended holiday break, especially having employees not needing to use their accruals, demonstrates the town's commitment to employee wellness, work-life balance, and employee satisfaction while supporting the aim of becoming an employer of choice. This can improve employee retention, attraction of employees, and boost employee morale. Welcome any questions.
Thank you for that. Before opening the table, I just want to give my opinion as a member of the Texcentennial Library Board for quite a few years. This is something that is common practice. We have been doing it as long as I can remember that those 3 days were given. It makes little sense to have people back random days during that period. So I, for one, support the notion to give our employees 3 days. Anything further from members of council? Councillor Dykens?
Madam Mayor, I'm on both sides of this because I understand the wellness and taking care of our employees. The other thing is the fairness to the ones that aren't, that have to take their holidays that use their vacation days. You mentioned the, fitness complex, people that wouldn't be included in this. That's a concern. What I don't, this is for clarity, I don't understand if I'm an employee and I have 3 days of vacation left, and then I get these 3 days, I still have 3 days that may need to be paid out. Am I missing, like, I think I'm missing something in that?
You, Madam Mayor. If, for example, we have an employee who has already allocated that time for those 3 days, okay? The director or their manager will approach that employee and have them take those 3 days prior to December 24th. So they will be using those 3 days prior, so they will not be carrying them over.
So,
Yeah, there might be an occasion where a person might be called in,
for sure.
you know, and with respect to the issue of the other employees not getting this, those are unionized employees, and if this is something that they want to incorporate, that'll be through the collective bargaining process.
Just a follow-up, Madam Mayor, for clarity. So all the people in the complex are all unionized?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Owen,
Yes, through you, your worship. The only job that I worked where I got the time off, I had to do extra assignments on my own time prior to. Otherwise you would have had a blank newspaper. Okay? So I have a problem with just saying, these are 3 days, working days for everybody else, but you can have them off. Then again, I'm also a family man. So like Councillor Dykens, I have some mixed feelings about this. I mean, what bigger family time is there than Christmas? Whether you're religious or not, it's a big family time. Saying that we have less people working during that time, so we'll give everybody else a time off, does not meet our goal of service excellence. We're shutting down services for those 3 days. We're not serving the public in ways that we normally would serve them. So from that perspective, I see it as a negative. And I will vote whichever way my heart moves me when we call the vote, because it is, I have mixed feelings.
thank you for that. Counselor Owens,
Through you, Madam Mayor, what services will be impacted by this closure to the public?
For example, treasury, clerk's office. We will have some administrative staff in community services. But that won't be the direct individuals who actually apply the customer service. Those are unions. Treasury, as I mentioned, we do have some administrative staff. You put 3 or 4 in public works. That will be up to the director of how he wants to handle that. If he requires an individual to come in on that time, if the individual has to come in at that time, then that person will back. So, it does not affect long-term care, except for some administrative stuff there. But again, if they are needed, it's up to the director to determine that. Again, the fire department is not affected. And majority of long-term care is not, they're unionized.
follow-up,
Yeah, through you again, Madam Mayor, so I kind of figured that out because I had read the report to it. And so what comes to mind right now is if someone passes away during the holidays. That is dependent on the clerk being able to issue the permits related to that. Now, what is the impact on a grieving family because we're closed? The death happens on December 23rd, during the night, they have to wait till January 2nd or 3rd. Or is there a process in place to cover that?
thank you for that question. Madam Clerk,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Every year, I'm on call for Christmas and New Year's because we cannot not issue burial permits. So I'm the one who will be issuing burial permits during any kind of closure.
Councillor Owen,
Yeah, I just have one follow-up question. It has to do with the Works Department. What happens if a resident has a sewer backup and there's nobody there to answer the phone?
If you might, Mayor, too.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I did.
Sorry. The Public Works Department, the director will be able to manage that situation. We'll have processes in place. So if there is an issue, we do have people on call too. So,
But I'm talking, sorry.
yeah, so that we'll discuss it with the director, make sure that operation was in place.
follow up.
Yeah. Okay, one of the complaints that I get quite often is that when people phone the town, they want to talk to a person, not a machine. And I understand that complaint. So would there be somebody there who's actually going to answer the phones? Or are they gonna have to wait for a call back or?
So after hours.
Yeah, that's just.
Okay.
We do have, we have our emergency or let's say after hours on-call line. So the person can utilize that process in place. So again, we do have people on call and to use that things. Yeah.
Councillor Shabba,
Okay, through you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, CEO, for this, but like some of my colleagues here do have mixed feelings about this. We're all family people here, we like to spend time with our family members. But I have two concerns. Actually, before that, I think my first question is that, before we come up with a solution, what are the problems in the past? I mean, we didn't have this as of now. What are the problems leading to us putting this into place if it passes tonight? And number two, part of my concern is that I know where I used to work and my workplace too, people have accrued vacation days to cover anything, you name it, PD days, and whatnot to spend with their family members. So I'm not very clear about why people have those 3 days if they still have vacation days. I'm not too clear on that. I need to speak to that. So if I know at college we have 20 days of vacation. So if I have to go on something vacation during teaching and I exceeded my number of days, then I have to work to cover that up. So I'm not too sure how is this going to work if people still have accrued vacation days, and then they'll be eligible to take this 3 other days. To me, I don't get that. And my last point would be to try to get this money from the working capital. So we have a lot of capital projects that we wanted to do, and God knows that those capital projects, they need every penny that we could throw at them. So I'm not too sure why. Either we have the money or we don't have the money, okay? But I have to go to working capital to draw that. If it passes, to me, it's a concern.
So, you got married to the counselor. So the 3 days, for example, if individuals have those 3 days already accrued, and we're going to use those 3 days, what we're saying is use them prior to December 24th. That way, we show as a corporation that we are looking after employee wellness. We are looking after providing a benefit. So those 3 days will be used prior to the 24th. So they won't be carried over, they won't be paid out. And with respect to the working capital, that's only in the situation where a deficit situation would be caused by this pilot. And I don't expect it will be. So, but that's just on the chance that this program does create a deficit, we take responsibility for capital reserve. I do not see this happen.
Okay. My first question, what are the issues now leading to this proposed solution?
Sure.
What are the issues?
So to Madam Mayor, so just to so understand your question, is it the issues leading up to this and why are we implementing this?
Yeah, the issues leading up
Sure,
to this,
okay.
yeah, the
Right.
issues leading up to this,
Right.
people are,
Sure, right now with people having to use their vacation time to cover things like childcare. Okay, and also, for example, we do have employees right now who also use vacation time during the summer to cover daycare when the daycare goes down. So it's just providing the time available to the individuals who don't have to use certain time for covering incidents like that. Also, as a corporation, it shows us that we are providing a work-life balance, that we are providing the time required to our staff to cover those days without having to use their vacation days. Also, it does, when we also look at our services we are providing, there is a slowdown, there's no doubt during the Christmas period. You know, we do have less interaction from the staff, from the public. I don't have any specifics or numbers, but you do notice the reduction in activity. However, what I've noticed last year was when we had numerous staff off during this time period, taking vacation, because I think to cover childcare, for example, and we are open to the public. Okay, the public walks in and expects the service. Well, if we have half our staff off, they're not going to get that service. You know, so by closing down for those 3 days, you know, we are enhancing employee wellness, we are taking care of our employees, and we're also providing more efficiency in our operations. So that's really the underlying motivation behind this. Also, we do want to strive to be the employer of choice, which is outlined in our corporate strategic plan. And again, when we looked at other municipalities that are closing for this time period, yeah, there's a mixture. Some are not having to have employees use their vacation time or their accruals. You have a mixture of, yes, you have to close, but you gotta use vacation time. Then we have others where some will say, okay, if it's 3 days, you use 2 vacation days, then we'll cover the 3rd day. I mean, there's a variety, you know, the past 2 municipalities I've worked at, we did not have to use our vacation days. It was a benefit to the employees, which is very much appreciated. So that's really I guess the motivation behind this. And again, it's trying to strive to be that employer of choice and to recognize that work-life balance for our employees.
Thank you. Councillor Owens?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To me, this is an operations issue. It's between you and your staff, and I've been lucky enough in my career for the past 20 years, I've never had to worry about Christmas breaks, weekends, March break. It's just a given, and I appreciate it that our schedule is made that way. So whatever can help to benefit employee retention, wellness, if it works, it works. That's between you and your staff, and I don't have a problem with this. Just one last comment as to the being on call. I'm one of the frequent flyers on the on-call number because I walk early in the morning, I see stuff. I don't want to see stuff, but I see stuff and I call it, and I've never, ever had an answer machine. I don't think Mr. Ranta is happy to see that it's my number that appears on this phone, but he has always answered, and I've always had a great service from the after hours number. So.
Councillor Dykens?
To you, Madam Mayor, to the CAO, when we talk about costs, and I think that's why it's here, because there are costs that are above the budget, so we may not go into the reserves, but if you have 36 employees off for 3 days at whatever rate, that's a cost, because they're not working and it's not part of the vacation. So what is that estimated cost?
So the cost is only if the days are carried over or paid out. So, and I can get more clarification from our treasurer on this one.
Madam Mayor. So this one's a little bit of a lesson in budget cutoff and bookkeeping. In the scenario we're talking about here, if somebody doesn't take their time off, our policies are that we carry that amount forward. And they get paid out. They're allowed to carry 1 or 2 weeks forward vacation under the policy. Any remaining balance has to be paid out. It's usually paid out in the second pay of January. Not always, but usually that period. Anything that comes forward to be paid out is actually a cost to us. So in this scenario, if they don't use, as the CAO pointed out, if they don't use their vacation time, then whether it's, these 3 days that are at discussion tonight, or any other vacation time they have, it becomes a cost to the corporation if they're not using it. Because we actually cut a check for them in the new year. If they use it, it's zero cost, and that's why you see in the report, there's a kind of a maximum. What would happen if people didn't take their time? That's what we're kind of guesstimating is going to be the cost of the corporation spread between the departments that have this type of staff.
And that's, sorry, just one
Yeah.
second. That is if every single employee entitled to those 3 days don't take those 3 days, and every single employee has 3 days to take over. That's our maximum, right?
Yeah,
That's
there's a bit of money in there as well for benefits.
Yeah,
Now that one's a bit
Yeah,
of
but
an
that's-
exact number, but
Yeah. yeah, so
Yes.
that's if every single employee entitled does not take those extra 3 days that they would be able to take. So, okay, Counselor Dykens.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to follow up, I totally understand that part of your argument, but what I understand is if this goes forward and those 3 days are allotted to, I think that's almost 36 staff members, then their department heads are going to ask them to spend those 3 days before December 24th, so there is no payout. So why, so those are two different, like in my work too, we have to use our vacation by that. So there's two different things going on here, and that's what so you have a policy that you will pay out unused vacation. You're saying if we implement this, you're going to force them to take
For
the
those-
vacation beforehand. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, Madam Mayor. Yeah, so for those individuals have already allocated those 3 days. And given that the motivation behind this too is they wouldn't have to use vacation days. So in order for them to not carry over or not get paid out, so there's any cost to this pilot, they will be encouraged to use those days prior. Okay,
Yeah, I get
right,
that.
yeah. Also, I do want to mention that when it comes to myself and the directors, right? We will be using our accrued time, because, the higher you got in the pay scale, right, you bigger, so we'll be using the vacation time for the directors and myself.
Counselor Owen.
Your worship, if I'm allowed to ask one more question, I see the word pilot. And that's an important word to how I'm going to vote on this issue. Will we pilot and implies to me that this is a one-time thing and that we will get a report back afterwards from senior management about how it went. Am I understanding that correctly?
To Madam Mayor, to come, yes, a report will be brought back in the first quarter of next year. And we will then have a better idea of how this progressed. And we'll get feedback from employees and also take note of if there was administrative staff having to be used over that 3-day period, which had to be paid out or carried over. So a report will be brought back.
Thank you.
Anything further from members of council? None noted, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Item carried. Thank you. Item number 6.3, household hazardous waste collection, moved by Counselor Dykens, seconded by Counselor Owen.
Moved by Counselor Dolly Dyken, seconded by Counselor Rick Owen. Be it resolved that report number 2024 PWM entitled Household Hazardous Waste Collection be received. And that council approves the inclusion of an annual household hazardous waste collection event as presented commencing in 2025. And finally, that the costs associated with an annual household hazardous waste collection events be included as part of the Public Works Department's portion of the town budget.
Thank you. Welcome Stefan Forte, Director of Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're here today to present a report which addresses the management of household hazardous waste in Kirkland Lake. After extensive research and consideration for various options, the recommendation is that we implement an annual household hazardous waste collection event. We've seen from our previous evaluation that while a continuous year-round collection system might seem convenient, it is neither practical nor financially sustainable for a town of our size. An annual one-day event allows us to manage the collection and disposal of hazardous material effectively while minimizing costs and ensuring compliance with environmental regulations. Our upcoming event on October 26th will give us valuable data on both participation and cost, which we will use to fine-tune future operations. By improving the inclusion of this event in the public works budget, we can continue to meet the needs of our community in a responsible, cost-effective manner. Your time, and I encourage your support for this essential service.
Thank you. Counselor Kylie.
Through you, your worship. Stefan, do you recall what the cost of this venture was last year?
We have, oh, sorry, through you, Madam Mayor. We haven't held one since 2020.
Is it that long?
It has been that long.
Well,
Correct.
then we're overdue.
We're very much overdue.
Counselor Owen.
Thank you.
Through you, your worship, I'm very pleased to see this on the agenda tonight. It's something that I've asked for on a number of occasions in the past. I consider it a vital service. When we've talked about it in the past, we've talked about hazardous items going into the dump, but it's a bigger problem than that. Because it's hazardous items going into the bush as well. Whether it's inside our town limits or outside our town limits. It's pollution that doesn't need to happen. And I don't believe the majority of the people that do that are doing it because they don't care about the environment. They're doing it because they have no other place to put it. Also, in terms of health and safety, many of the hazardous items are very susceptible to exploding or burning at a fast rate or accelerating fires in buildings. And in terms of our fire department, that creates a health and safety issue that doesn't necessarily have to be there. So I'm very pleased and I congratulate you on bringing this to the public. And it's, you know, I mean, I have things in my house that are considered hazardous waste, but what do I do with them? I hang on to them. Like, there's no other service here, so it's a vital and important service. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, I can call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Carried unanimous. Thank you, sir. Item 6.4, 2023 winter operations update and proposed 2024-2025 winter maintenance. May I have a mover? Counselor Kylie, seconded by Counselor Shava.
Moved by Counselor Patrick Kylie, seconded by Counselor LaFave. It resolved that report number 2024 PW11 entitled 2023-2024 winter operations update and proposed 2024-2025 winter maintenance manual be received, and finally the council adopt the town of Kirkland Lakes 2024-2025 winter maintenance manual as presented.
Thank you. Mr. Forte, Director of Public Service, Public Works, you may proceed.
Mayor and Council, here today to present the report, Winter Operations and Updated Winter Maintenance Manual. As we reflect on the winter of last year, our winter maintenance crews worked diligently to keep our roads, sidewalks safe and accessible, overcoming the typical challenges posed by the season. However, an ongoing issue that significantly affects our snow removal efficiency is still the shortage of third-party dump trucks, which limits how much snow we can remove, especially during periods of heavy accumulation. One key point that I want to stress tonight is the issue of snow clearing for private driveways, more specifically the snow banks in front of private driveways. While we do understand that snow accumulation can be difficult for some residents, it is not and cannot become the responsibility of the municipality to clear snow from private driveways. Doing so would create an unsustainable drain on our resources, redirecting public funds and taxpayer dollars away from critical services that benefit the entire community. Additionally, this would place us in direct competition with local private contractors who provide these services. Similarly, expanding snow removal to additional laneways is not a feasible option. Our resources, including staff, equipment, and budget, are already fully committed to maintaining public roads, sidewalks, and existing laneways. Expanding these services would require significant additional resources that are simply not available. Moreover, we face snow storage capacity issues that would only worsen with the removal of additional snow from more laneways. For these reasons, it is essential that we maintain our current level of service to ensure our resources are used efficiently and responsibly. By adopting the updated 2024-2025 winter maintenance manual, we will be well prepared to continue delivering high-quality winter operations, addressing challenges proactively, and keeping our roads and sidewalks safe for all residents. I'm confident that this plan will enable us to meet the community's needs effectively in the coming winter season. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll open the table for questions. Any questions from members of council? Councillor Kylie.
Give you your worship. Fact that we're not going to remove snow from the end of the driveways. Puts a burden on the homeowner, obviously. And it's one of the biggest complaints that we get from seniors. Who aren't able to facilitate doing that task. I don't know what the answer is, but it's always tough to tell a senior, look, we're not doing it. We don't want people going out and having a heart attack. It's happened. But I don't know what the answer is, because it is a major budget commitment to remove that snow, or at least plow it.
Thank you for that.
Just my thoughts.
Thank you for that, Councillor Kylie. Councillor Owen.
Yes, through you, your worship. I think the issue here is not normal snow at the end of the driveway. The issue here is we're basically scarifying without a scarifying blade. Okay? So technically, we're not scarifying because we didn't put the scarifying blade on. But when I go to the end of my driveway and there's huge chunks that have come off the road, similar to what comes off the road when the road has been scarified, a snow blower can't handle that. And I think that's the issue here. I don't think it's like the normal plow. I mean, I have no problem with going to the end of my driveway and clearing a normal snowbank. I do have an issue, however, when I see my neighbor who's not in good health have to go, and because the snow blower can't deal with these big chunks, physically remove that. And to me, that's the issue. And to me, it's just semantics, you know. You're doing the same thing as scarifying, but you're not using the scarifying blade, therefore it's not scarifying. Well, it is to the person who has to shovel. Thank you.
Thank you for that opinion, Councillor Shava.
Oh, yeah, I'm not too sure. This question is in line with your presentation. To you, Madam Chair, I just want to know, I recall last winter was very mild. Do we have any savings from last year? Because I take it out, we didn't plow that much, we didn't move snow a lot. Are there any any savings from last year's line, or it's just the same, or what's the situation?
Well, through you, Madam Mayor, I would have to get back to you on the specifics on that because I don't have.
All right,
that
that's
with me.
Okay.
That'll probably come back with budget. Counselor Kylie?
Through you, your worship. Other communities such as Timmins, they have a drop blade situation where, when they get to the driveway, the blade comes up.
Through you, Madam Mayor,
And
that is,
it seems to have worked in Timmins. I don't understand why it doesn't work. It can't work in Kirkland Lake.
through you, Madam Mayor, this is something that was discussed in the past and
Yeah,
something.
it was.
Sorry, Counselor Kylie, could you allow the director to answer fully?
This is something that won't work in our community because that stove still needs to be carried and deposited somewhere along that route. We have. Our roads are just driveway after driveway after driveway. We would essentially have to take all that snow and then where do you dump it? We can't dump it at the stop sign. It would create enormous safety concerns. It's just, the snow blade is very useful in concession roads or along areas and commercial properties where you're only gonna have the occasional driveway. Then they can drop that blade and simply move it over. But in our community, moving it over 20 feet is in somebody else's driveway. So it doesn't work.
Thank you for that answer.
Supplemental.
Yeah, Counselor
Your
Kylie?
worship. It works in Timmins. That's all I can say.
Hmm.
I don't know how we're different from Timmins. That's
Thank
my
you.
feeling. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we appreciate that it works in Timmins. Thank you. Anything further from member of council?
I'd like the opportunity to clarify the idea of scarifying versus what we are doing, which is controlling the snowpack layer. We did add a new section in our manual called the controlling the snowpack layer. But I'd like the opportunity to read from it. Also, to minimize the need for scarifying and maintain road safety throughout the winter, road graders are used to manage the snowpack layer on roadways by continuously shaving down the snowpack. Graders help prevent excessive snow accumulation and keeping the layer as thin as possible. Here's how the process works. Ongoing maintenance. Road graders are employed regularly during winter weather to shave off the snowpack in thin layers. This proactive approach helps maintain road surfaces and reduce the risk of ice formation. By consistently adjusting the thickness of the snowpack, graders prevent it from becoming too deep or compacted. And this is where scarifying becomes an issue, is if we let that snowpack layer increase and it becomes a foot to 2 feet deep, then it softens on us during warmer weather, then people get stuck to their axles. That's what the snowman and the controlling of snowpack layer does. When we start scarifying, that's when you have the enormous chunks. It does not compare at all to what we're doing with the controlling of snowpack layer. Thank you.
Thanks for that clarification. Counselor Owen?
Yes, and I fully appreciate the fact that we're using graders. No one's got stuck in 6 inches of snow when it's got hot at the bottom of my driveway since we've used graders. The problem is that on the secondary streets, by the time the grader comes, the snow's already been packed down. Okay, so when the grader comes, I'm getting big chunks, and so are the other people on the secondary streets that are very similar to the chunks that we got when there was scarifying being used. But yes, it's been a wonderful improvement, Stefan, in terms of not having to call a tow truck anymore, which has happened to me on more than one occasion, so I appreciate that. I just throw that out because that's what residents are telling me, and that's what I've experienced. And is there a solution? I don't know.
CEO Smith?
I just wanted to also bring the council's attention that was in the report, just to highlight that we will be advertising or promoting our website, private companies that do this work, that individuals can reach out and we can assist them in removing the ice snow at the bottom of the driveway. We have a list that we are going to be calling the companies, make sure they're still in operation and willing to do this. And then we'll be promoting those private organizations to the public.
Thank you. Counselor Shabbat?
So, yeah, to you, Madam Chair, a question to you, Director. I don't see this in Chappie, but it been brought to my attention over the years that in some street, the municipality, we sand the road first and then we'll plow after. Is that the sequence? Is that correct? You know, the sander will go, the sand the road, and then all of a sudden plow will come a few minutes after and then plow the road. Is that the way it, I never seen it in Chappie, but maybe you can answer that question.
Through your Madam Mayor, Councilor, yes, sometimes that does occur, but usually that occurs when it's still snowing and we have slippery conditions. We have to address the slippery conditions. But if it's still snowing and then the accumulation gets on us, we have to go back and plow.
I think that was an important, thank you for that, Counselor Shabbat. I think that was an important explanation for many members of our community that it doesn't make sense to, but there is governmental standards that we have to meet with plowing if there is an accumulation. So it's a bug in the system, so to say, but that is living in the north. Anything further? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Item carried. Item number 6.5, event-based crosswalk painting program, moved by. Thank you, Counselor Dykens, seconded by Counselor Owen.
Moved by Counselor Dolly Dyken, seconded by Counselor Rico. Be it resolved that report number 2024 PW 12 entitled Advanced Crosswalk Painting Program be received for information.
Thank you. Stefan Forte, Director of Public Works, you may proceed again.
Madam Mayor, Council, here to present a report titled Event-Based Crosswalk Painting Program. This report stems from Council's earlier resolution in 2023 to explore ways to support public awareness campaigns through sidewalk painting, including our trial installation in 2023 to commemorate Pride Month. While the idea was well-intentioned, the trial raised some serious concerns, particularly regarding safety and compliance with provincial standards. First and foremost, it's critical to emphasize that the Ontario Ministry of Transportation does not permit multicolored sidewalks on highways or connecting links due to safety concerns. The ministry's regulations are designed to ensure that road markings remain standardized and easily recognizable for both drivers and pedestrians. Any deviation from this, such as introducing non-regulated colors and patterns, can lead to confusion, increased risks of accidents, and non-compliance with the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disability Act, the AODA standards. During our trial, we shifted the installation from government road to a municipal road to comply with these regulations, but the safety concerns remain. Non-standard markings can interfere with the visual cues that individuals, especially those with disabilities, rely on for safe navigation. The last thing we want is to compromise public safety or hinder accessibilities by introducing a program that conflicts with established guidelines. Additionally, the rapid deterioration of the decals due to traffic wear and tear further highlights the unsuitability of such installation on municipal roads. For the trial in 2023, heavy damage was sustained within only 24 hours, and the decals were removed after 4 days. While we could explore more durable materials, this significantly increased costs without resolving the safety issue. To note, the original budget for this work was $2,500 and was in a sense respected, but only by using Public Works internal forces to assist with road closures, cleaning, and removal, which technically increased the true cost by another $3,000. While this is technically not an extra cost to the town's budget, it reflects the time needed from internal resources to accomplish this work. In light of these concerns, especially safety and provincial compliance, This report strongly advises against pursuing a formal sidewalk painting program on municipal roads. Doing so would not only be impractical, but could also jeopardize the safety of our residents and conflict with provincial regulations. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. Before opening the table for comments, I do want to point out that I feel that this is a case of higher levels of government not catching up to what their municipalities are doing. It is well known that multiple municipalities across Ontario do partake in painting crosswalks. And though I respect that, yes, AODA compliance and safety regulations are in place, it doesn't reflect what municipalities are actually doing in practice. As far as our pilot, if you call it, that first attempt is concerned, I did not speak to the damage that occurred at the time because I didn't want to give it any air. Though using vinyl may not have been the proper material to use in a crosswalk, we all know that it would have lasted longer if that first individual hadn't purposefully damaged. I was standing there with guests from out of town when it happened. So our event hadn't even finished before a person with ill intent purposefully damaged that crosswalk. So in that respect, I fully support the fact that we cannot have a program like this in place in the town of Kirkland Lake. Maybe not for the reasons stated in the report, but unfortunately, one or two bad apples have ruined the bunch, so to speak. Any comments, Councillor Owen?
Yeah, sorry, through you, your worship. I seem to be forgetting that tonight. I don't understand how all these other northern municipalities are able to do this. And we get 5 reasons why we can't do it. Like, other municipalities are doing it. It's doable. Whether it be pride or some other legitimate thing. And I just don't understand. Like, are we different than every other municipality? I don't get it, and that's my concern. I don't think we should scrap the program when other municipalities are doing it and can do it. That's my concern.
Thank you for that. Anything further from members of the table? All in favor?
Just a minute.
Okay,
I
yeah,
have to remember what
Councillor.
we're voting on exactly.
Yep.
Okay,
Do you need, sorry,
No,
just
no.
because for clarification, Madam Clerk, can I have you read the motion again?
Certainly. Moved by Councillor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen. It resolved that report number 2024 PW 12 entitled Event-Based Crosswalk Painting Program be received for information.
All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. Thank you very much, yes, sir. Item number 7, considerations of notice of motion. I will have acting Mayor Kylie take my chair.
Yeah, so you were acting here, just to pass motion, I missed something because we voted on what? Because I think there's an actionable item in that motion, not to carry on with the crosswalk, but we voted to receive. What did we vote for? Clarification?
I'll have the mayor. Madam Mayor, did you want to speak to the vote?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, so as per the motion that was read twice, we were voting on receiving that report. So we didn't do anything, we didn't not do anything, we just said, thank you for that information. That's all we did,
Alright.
because we received for information.
Yeah, but reading that very well, there's something. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
so, okay, so as a
Well,
matter of direction to council,
Yeah,
if you so choose to do anything with that report, if you want
can I see?
any action, further action, you can make a motion to do so using that information.
Sorry, to you, Mr. Atkinson, when I
The
read
mayor
that,
has,
yes,
the mayor has a chair right now.
pardon me?
I still have
Oh,
a chair because
okay,
we
to
haven't
you.
started.
When I read that yesterday, let me just try to get the, just into this thing here. I think the director was, really, recommending to us not to carry on because of safety, the cost, durability and whatnot. I got this just from that, what he wrote, and then we're receiving it, but we're not acting on what is, recommending. Is that correct? So when do we act on what is recommending? Maybe my question is simply, are we gonna have the crosswalk next year or are we not? And just put it simply.
So I'm gonna have Madam Clerk
Okay.
speak to, because the original motion that had that first crosswalk. Yeah, there's multiple motions that led up to this report,
Yes,
so I'll have Madam Clerk speak to.
I got it now.
The recommendation and the report through the manner, the recommendation and report was to receive for information. The way the motion was read this evening, the recommendation was to receive it for information. Since the vote has already taken place in accordance with the procedural bylaw, we have to move on to the next item. However, does any member of council to request for a motion for any kind of other action that it deems wanting to do so.
No, I'm okay, carry on.
Okay,
Okay, so acting mayor Kylie will now resume the chair.
item 7.2, Mayor Stacy White, support of multicultural and settlement services within the town of Kirkland.
Okay. Fine. Moved by Mayor Stacy White, seconded by Councillor Casey Owens. Whereas the town of Kirkland Lake has seen a visual increase in immigration over the past few years. And whereas the community volunteers known as the KL Multicultural Group has been providing the only local settlement and support services within the jurisdiction of Kirkland Lake. And whereas settlement services provide assistance to accessing available services within the community, assistance to fill out required forms and applications, provide orientation, information and referral to community programs, language classes, job referral services, assisting in school registration for children, among many other services. And whereas the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake should be leveraging the support of the KL Multicultural Group to further its local economic development strategy. Therefore, be it resolved that council direct administration to investigate partnership opportunities with the KL Multicultural Group to elevate programs and promotion for newcomers to Kirkland Lake, and finally, that administration investigate grant opportunities and other funding sources to this end.
Thank you for that. So officially, Timmins District Multicultural Center Immigrant Settlement Services does provide services, from Kirkland Lake to the James Bay. However, in practice, again, we know that it is the people of the Multicultural Society in Kirkland Lake that are actually providing tours of Kirkland Lake, taking new Kirkland Lakers to the doctor's office, to the library, to our Parks and Rec. They're the ones that are actually assisting new members of our community to acclimate to our town. Not only that, they offer social speaking circles so that newcomers can learn our language faster. They are providing all these services that are technically funded by the government out of Timmins. So what I'm proposing is there possibly could be opportunities for the town of Kirkland Lake and this group to partner in some ways, like possibly, and I don't have any specific ideas in mind, but perhaps the way we support, like we do Frog's Breath for the curling club, there could be grant opportunities. So what I'm just asking tonight is that we direct staff just to investigate. through the CAO of what partnership opportunities there can be with this vital group. Because we do know Kirkland Lake is diversifying at an incredible and amazing rate, and we want to do all we can to support our newcomers.
Any comments from council?
Through acting mayor to her way.
Okay.
Did I say something?
No.
Oh, okay. I fully support this. This is amazing. I know firsthand what the multicultural group does, even with jobs and residency things. So when we talk about retention as well, we know that an employee will come to Kirkland Lake, but their family may not want to, or, yeah, so there's many opportunities. It would be interesting to see what we can effectively do.
Any further comments? We'll go to a vote. All in favor? Unanimous?
Sure, you give the second a chance to speak before you
Oh, sorry.
Go first.
Yeah. Item 7.3. Mayor Stacy White, accessible playground equipment.
Moved by Mayor Stacy White, seconded by Councillor LaChava. Whereas the Department of Community Services aims to facilitate the delivery of a diverse supply of high-quality parks and leisure opportunities in order to contribute to a healthy community and improve the quality of life for all residents and visitors. And whereas the Town of Kirkland Lake Corporate Strategic Plan 2024 to 2026 and beyond identifies investments in public amenities such as parks, recreational facilities, and public spaces to enhance the quality of life of residents under the growth section of council's operational aims under the vibrant and prosperous community pillar. And whereas one of the playgrounds owned, managed, and maintained by the Town of Kirkland Lake has elements of accessible play, despite there being access limitations for individuals who depend on the use of certain mobility aids. And whereas the Town of Kirkland Lake's multi-year accessibility plan and integrated accessibility standards as reviewed by administration in 2024 states the Town of Kirkland Lake will meet the accessibility standards for the design of public spaces when building or making major modifications to public spaces, and that public spaces include outdoor play spaces like playgrounds in provincial parks and local communities. And whereas the Council of the Town of Kirkland Lake recognizes inclusive playgrounds play a pivotal role by uniting children of diverse abilities in the joyful act of play, forging connections and camaraderie from an early age. Therefore, be it resolved, the council direct administration to investigate the inclusion of accessible playground equipment, including accessible turf options where appropriate within the community, and finally that administration investigate grant funding opportunities for accessible playground equipment available to municipalities.
Councillor Schafer, do you wish to comment?
Madam Mayor first.
Madam Mayor.
Oh,
first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Through you, Madam Mayor. This motion is the result of requests made by a local group spearheaded by Ms. Cheryl Donor and conversations between CAO Smith and myself. I kind of feel it goes without being said, we should strive to be inaccessible in all of our spaces within our community. Accessible Playgrounds Ontario, it's a website, they catalog over 300 playgrounds across the province. So we're clearly behind the times on this one. We did attempt, we did start the process with Queen Elizabeth Playground, and we just kind of didn't make it to the end of the race. So we have definitely moved towards accessibility. We're just not there yet. So between the conversations we had, it's not asking that this has to be done. It's just asking for when we think about our playgrounds, we think about accessibility and seek actively grant funding for specific elements for accessibility.
No, Councillor Schafer, do you wish to comment?
I'm all in agreement.
Thank you. All in favor?
Do you wanna ask them for discussion? You wanna ask the rest of the council if you have anything they want to discuss?
Does council have any further comments? None noted. All in favor? Unanimous.
That's right, everybody else. Thank you, Acting Mayor Kylie. Moving on. Sorry. Yep. To Councillor Dolly Dykens, organizational review of fire services, 7.4. Do you wish the clerk to read before we proceed? Okay.
Council.
Yep.
Like it, man.
Moved by Councillor Dolly Dykens, seconded by Councillor LaChava, whereas Kirkland Lake Fire Services provides 24-hour service and delivers a wide range of programs and services, including fire suppression, control of hazardous materials, auto extrication, fire investigation, public education, fire prevention, fire code advice, inspections, enforcement of the Ontario Fire Code, and responding to any rescue situation. And whereas the Fire Services Department consists of 1 fire chief, 4 platoon chiefs, 8 full-time firefighters, and several volunteer firefighters who collectively work to keep the jurisdiction of the town of Kirkland Lake safe. And whereas the town's corporate strategic plan 2024 to 2026 and beyond identifies a strategic action of prioritizing core services and exploring alternatives for non-core services, which may include divestment or changes to operating models. And whereas financial considerations necessitate a review of the departmental efficiency of Kirkland Lake Fire Services to ensure fiscal responsibility while maintaining high quality service delivery. Therefore, be it resolved that council direct the chief administrative officer to prepare and issue a request for proposal, RFP, for consultancy services to conduct a comprehensive operational review of the Fire Services Department. The review assessing the efficiency of fire service delivery, alternate operational models, identifying opportunities for cost-effective improvements, and ensuring the provision of services that maintains community safety and adheres to fiscal responsibility. And that the sum of up to $70,000 be drawn from the working capital reserve in order to retain those consultancy services. And finally, that the findings and recommendations of the Kirkland Lake Fire Services operational review be presented for consideration and council's direction by Q4 of 2025 in order to optimize the Fire Services Department's operations in alignment with the town's 2024-2026 corporate strategic plan.
Thank you. Councillor Dykens.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to the rest of council. First, I'd like to express my thanks to the CAO and clerk for their valuable input into this motion, and to the seconder, Councillor Shava. As the motion indicates, we're looking for a comprehensive operational review of the Fire Services Department. And an undertaking such as this would require someone with the necessary specialized expertise and experience, not to mention time. So that council would be provided with a robust, exhaustive, and unbiased report in a timely fashion. The target, as mentioned, is the Q4 of 2025, and this will inform our decision-making going forward. As we know, one of council's rules is that of stewardship. And in that role, one of our objectives is to ensure that financial and administrative resources are used efficiently. We expect operational reviews of other departments will follow as we continue to endeavor to align all municipal operations with the town's corporate strategic plan. We look forward to your support on this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Shava, you may speak second.
Yeah, thank you very much to you, Madam Chair. As indicated by the mover of this motion, this is just the beginning. In our view, I think it's a good thing to do. Yes, we do spend a lot of time talking about the non-core services, and we should also spend time to look at core services and to see if they're performing as they should be. So this is the first one, and probably many more to come later on. So
Thank you for that. Councillor Kylie.
Through you, your worship. I have a little problem with this spending 70,000 on a consulting basis. We had a review strategic plan of the fire department 3 or 4 years ago, if I recall correctly. Many of the issues that were brought up have been dealt with the new fire chief. I don't think we're gonna find out anything different than what was in that report and the changes that have been updated from that report. That's my opinion.
Thank you for that, Councillor Kylie. Before I allow it to continue, so it was in 2017, it was the Pomax report, and you are correct that many of these items were addressed in that. Go ahead, Councillor Owens.
Through you, Madam Mayor, there's gonna be two questions I have towards this. First is most of the statement, I think the timing irks me a bit on this one because this motion first got brought to us after we passed the collective agreement for the firefighters many months back, and then I see this more as a way to circumvent the will of council than what it's intended to or presented to. Pomax, 2017, right here. 120-page report that's really comprehensive, that is done by an expert. It is unbiased, and we have access to the information, so a lot of the stuff that's in the motion finds itself in this, and I think before we can even attempt to spend more money on a new report, we should maybe ask where are we on this one? What's been done, what hasn't been done? Let's focus on this one before we go spend more money to try and change what, in my opinion, works. And that brings me to my second question or comment is that this is safety and it works. Volunteers versus full-time. We have the privilege in Kirkland Lake to have a full-time fire department. I think it's an awesome asset when you want to establish yourself in the community. Our men and women of Kirkland Lake Fire Services work hard. Just a week ago, or just over a week ago, 90 seconds, the truck was there fighting the fire. You can't get that with volunteers unless they're already sitting in the truck. So I think that says a lot to our department. We have something that works. We have a report. Let's focus on what we have and move forward with this, not spending taxpayer dollars on something we don't need right now.
Councillor Dykens.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's not about going from full-time professionals to volunteers. It's more comprehensive than that. We need to look at are we being efficient without putting safety, lessening safety? I don't know if the CAO is familiar with that report and if that is something that would be helpful, but yeah, it's not about going from full-time to volunteers. It's more comprehensive, like changing of schedule, like maybe there's a more efficient way of, and that's what we're looking at.
So thank you for that. A lot of those items were addressed in the Pomax report. And it is unfortunate that you hadn't brought this to somebody that had experience those years ago. Councillor Kylie has sat for 3 terms. I myself have made myself very clear that I have sat watching all of council since 2014. So there are good resources long-term, like myself and Councillor Kylie, that could have directed you to that report, and you would have clearly seen a lot of what you're asking for is in that report and could possibly be answered by updates of the fire chief. Councillor Owens, go ahead.
Yes, through you, your worship. My understanding is that we had the Comax report done. And then for various reasons that I can't and won't go into at a public meeting, it really wasn't implemented. And that with the hiring of our new chief, now the recommendations within that report are being taken seriously. and implemented. And, so to do another study doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We have this study. It made its recommendations. Let's let our fire chief do his job and implement the recommendations. And if we want to look at other departments, hey, I'm all in favor of that, because we don't have this kind of reports on other departments that I'm aware of. Okay. Yes, I'm covering my forehead with that one. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further from member of council? Councillor Shabbat.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, I just want to try to dispel the notion that this motion came about because of an event that happened. I think it's a leap of faith to try to draw that to connect those dots. In my view, I'm not here to defend yourself by your motion, but this is something that we've been thinking about for all our departments. It's not one event that led to this. So we're looking at it, we come here, we vote, either yes or nay, that's the end of that, we move on. Nobody's hacking back to say, well, listen, I'm coming back to the back door to do this. I just want to dispel that notion, because I didn't get that impression when I was asked to be a secondary of this motion. We were genuinely looking at a way to look at the operationals, and this happens to be the first one. Now, I haven't said that. When I saw this one, I didn't read it thoroughly. It presented itself to me as a master plan. We'll look for an operational review. So maybe the CEO could tell me, I mean, I'm sure you're very much aware of this, because I did see this, but we're looking for operational review. It will be come to the same conclusion as what we have now, and things have changed since, as you guys alluded to, so we have a new chief and whatnot. We're looking for an operational review, which I think is totally different from the master plan that we have here. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, maybe the CEO could tell me, because if this one encompasses some of the stuff that we're looking for, then we'll go to the next step of trying to implement some of this. I'm one of the people here, and I've been saying that we shouldn't go out and spend money on consulting. We can look into our offices to see if there are prior reports that we can utilize. You know, I'm all in favor of that, but nevertheless, it's not my understanding that what we're looking for is in this. Maybe it is. So this is why I have the CEO. The simple question: what would be the difference between this master plan, which is all encompassing, and our request for a very narrowly focused operational review of that department?
CEO Smith.
Some of the aspects of the master plan, I think the master plan is slightly different. We are looking for an operational review. We're looking at different models of operations, which I do not believe is contained in the master plan.
Thank you.
So, and you know, we will be presenting a particular review of operations through the OFM upcoming, but that doesn't really either speak to the way we do things at the fire station, you know, how we operate, you know, if there's any efficiencies through changing how we operate our shifts, for example. If the model we're currently using, is there a better model to use? And I don't think that is in the fire master plan. Now, the fire master plan, I believe, does speak to some of this, but not looking at different operational models. I think that's the distinction.
Thank you for that. I should probably step down if I want to take part in the debate or
You can ask somebody to take your chair.
Councillor Kylie. Thank you, sir. So I do appreciate that, and so, I did go over the Comax report because I will gladly admit I hadn't revisited it in quite some time. And I revisited it today. I didn't plan on participating in the debate. I don't usually participate in the debate. So I believe, I don't have it in front of me, page I or II. Thank you, Counselor. I printed it. Okay, so. So this report provides the town with a systematic and comprehensive approach to evaluating risk and existing capabilities within the municipality and its fire service capabilities. It formulates and communicates a strategic direction for the department and highlights opportunities for optimizing service delivery. Provides an objective basis to support decision-making with respect to community fire protection and prevention needs. Second page, II. The fire department is currently operating at the lowest possible cost and not to be sensational, as per the report, and it literally says not to be sensational, probably at an unsafe level. Evidence indicates that the town is not in compliance with the Fire Prevention and Protection Act, and the fire department is not returning much value to the town other than the very critical service of emergency response. So those are two things that I wanted to highlight because in the motion itself, it does speak to the alternate operational models. That is in the Comax report. As far as ongoing operational services, I absolutely agree. We should always be striving for better services at more efficient costs, but I don't think we should be wasting money on reports that we've already done and we have never followed up on. And I will gladly admit that is my fault as well. I've sat on council for 6 years. This report was given to the town the year before I sat. And so this was before me, but I knew about it. I've known about it the whole time. But there's always other mountains to climb. As far as service delivery reviews, we've also had that report given to us last term as well. So that's just my 2 cents on this.
We have any further comment?
Through you, acting chair, is there anything else for if we do need to review, is there something the fire chief can add to the table right now? Could guide us in this discussion? I mean, it is a big item budget, so is there something internally that can be done to go get efficiencies out of that report quickly without having to spend? I'd like to maybe hear from if we're allowed to.
Yes,
Fire Chief Brandon.
Dr. Mayor, Council. The Lomax report, it's a pretty comprehensive document. As far as efficiencies, it does speak to how thin the department actually runs. Through our bargaining this year, we did have to increase the staffing. Unfortunately, the Lomax report does quote NFPA 1710, which speaks to staffing levels. Sudbury, unfortunately, they went through arbitration this year and they were forced to hire 16 staff on top of their complement. So I would caution going down this road if we're forced into mandatory staffing levels. We could have a substantial increase in the costing of the department. we're all trying our best to increase productivity. I'm sure everybody in the community's noticed the fire department in the last 18 months that I've been here, of how often they see us at community events. Before, like it was, when I first got to the department, I'll be honest. It was, you don't be seen in public. That's what they were told over the years. Where my opinion is, no, we want you to be seen in public. If you have a question, talk to people. This is how you get the messaging out. Is firsthand interaction. It's not, you get some messaging out over media, but you get more messaging out having a conversation with somebody on the street. It'd be great to have more staff, sure. But it's a slippery slope, I think, if we go down this road.
Any further comments?
Yes.
Lacey?
Just a point, if I wanted to make a motion, do I wait?
An amendment or a motion? An amendment to the motion on the floor. Because right now there's a motion on the floor.
Yes, I know, and this is a thing, because what I would like to see an alternative prior to this, so I think it's a motion.
You'd have to bring notice of a
Okay,
motion.
okay, I'll do that at the end. Thank you.
Any further comments?
Yes. I just want to make the last comment stating that, you know, what was being asked here is not the level of staffing. We've gone through that. So all of a sudden, the conversation gravitates toward level of staffing. That is not what, as a seconder of this motion, I'm looking for. It could well be part of it, if it's part of the operational review. Maybe as you said, maybe the staffing level, as it is now, it's not adequate. Maybe it is adequate, maybe, I don't know. But there are other things. I don't want, it's a public meeting. I don't want people to walk away with the fact that, oh, we're talking about, this is not about staffing. Okay, that's why I asked this CEO to shed light on the distinction between this master plan and what is being proposed here. And it's very quite clear to me that what we're looking for is a narrowly focused operational review to start with that department, to start. And we're not picking on fire services department, to start, and then we move on to others. Again, there might be areas whereby of overlap, you know, between what's gonna come out of this if it goes through and what is in this master plan report, because this master plan, it says a lot about everything else, you know, not just staffing. But we're looking at operational efficiency. So before people vote on this, they should understand the intent of this, and the intent is not really to maybe augment level of staffing or not. That has nothing to do with this, in my view anyways, but it's your motion, but again, everybody keeps saying, well, we have this other report, we have that, nothing has been done. Yes, I don't want to spend this money. I'm very frugal here. My job is not to make the ratepayers poor by coming here, is to try to save them money. Yeah, if we don't need to spend this money, then we don't need to spend it. But that's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for staffing level, we're looking for the whole organization, and maybe we're doing good, but let's know that we're doing good. This report is 2017. It's not addressing the contemporary nature of our fire department as we speak. So again, it has to be very clear to everybody, we're looking for more than just staffing level. Thank you.
Through you, acting chair, to CEO Smith. What we're asking here is for funding for an operational review for someone to be who has expertise, who has the time and so on, to do the organizational review. there's nothing precludes you from, you have the program to do that on your own. But I think what we're trying to do here is, I'm not sure you maybe have the time, I'm sure you have much of the expertise, but there's probably peculiarities of doing an organizational review for a fire department that would be best suited in an expert that has that experience, but saying, this motion gets defeated, there's nothing that precludes you from doing an organizational review, is that correct, for clarity?
Through you, acting chair to members of council, given the complex nature of this topic and looking at a variety of operational models, requires expertise in that field. Could I do this? With a lot of consultation, it would be very difficult. And I would therefore, if council were to go down this road, I would highly recommend bringing in a consultant with the expertise. You know, we do have the fire chief is a very knowledgeable fellow in this area, of course. But again, he's also running a fire department. So there's a time consideration, and also when we're looking at the operations of a department, sometimes you just have that outside look on the operations. So if this didn't go through, it would be difficult to accomplish in a timely manner, and one of it probably lack the expertise that we need.
Follow-up?
Sorry, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, please. Yeah, so that's the intent of this motion, is to get that person who has the time, who has the expertise, who can inform us in 2024 for our fire needs going forward. Yes, we have a report from 2017. I'm not sure it was exactly what we're looking for, but that will be the role of council. So thank you.
Stacy?
Another point of order. Can we have this matter deferred until which time staff can bring back a follow-up report on claims? Or is that also a motion
This is an amendment to the main motion.
to defer? Okay, so I would like to propose an amendment to the main motion to defer until which time a report is brought back on the results of the POMAX report. Because it is clear that items in this report have been rectified with the onboarding of the new fire chief, training, platoons, it's all in here. And I know for a fact that those items have been addressed. And so I would like that a report to be brought back on where we stand with the results of this that was meant to last 5 to 10 years. When it was written, it was stated clearly that this report was to last between 5 and 10 years.
In the second.
Do I
We
have
have
a
a
second?
second. Councilor Wong.
Okay, I have to read the amendment.
Just for clarity, can we add an end date? Just so, like, we have things that we've put in council and then they just kind of get lost, and just not restricting staff, but just so we know.
Okay, just can I read the amendment? And if you wanna do a friendly amendment, while after I read it, for an amendment to the amendment.
Yeah.
We don't need to go down that road, but if you want to have a date and date.
Okay.
Moved by Mayor Stacy White, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen, that the matter be deferred. To which time that a report be brought back on the items / recommendations of the 2017. What is the name of the
POMAX, POMAX.
report?
Fire Service Master Plan, Corporation of the Town of Kirkland, obviously.
Master plan, okay?
Yeah.
By
And is it appropriate for by the end of the year?
How much time?
If you were the seconder.
Yeah,
This is why I
Counselor,
was-
Counselor Owen is a seconder.
Okay, through you acting mayor. I get where Councillor Dykens is coming on this issue about having an end date. But I also think that we should consult
Yes,
the fire chief to see what he believes is a reasonable end date for him to have a report back, because we don't know his day-to-day scheduling, his workload. And yes, I know we can't predict fires, but I think before we arbitrarily put an end date, I think we should talk to the director, fire chief.
You're on the spot.
Mr. Chair, may I
Yes,
make
you may.
a comment? Earl, before you answer that. Just like to remind council that, presently, the fire chief is busy in a current study, which is the feasibility location analysis for a fire hall. And that is a very,
In-depth.
yes, but very in-depth and very in-depth endeavor. So right now, the fire chief is consumed with that project too, plus his other duties. So I would just be mindful of that. And we are expecting to have that done by the end of the year, you know, hopefully. It's a bit slower than we thought. So I just want to keep that in mind, the councils, and also when Earl is going to give his
Okay,
feedback. So,
thank you for that.
Would the end of February meet your target?
Through you, Chair, I believe end of February we could get it done by then.
yeah, I would say by the end of maybe by the first.
By the first,
Yeah.
first quarter.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was just gonna.
Are you proposing end of quarter one,
End
2025?
of quarter one.
Yeah.
Do you want me to reread?
Well,
No, you know what, actually, I'll just withdraw my request, not my amendment altogether. I'm gonna,
So
sorry,
withdrawing. your
I'm
amendment?
withdrawing the amendment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, in light of current responsibilities.
okay. The amendment is withdrawn. We're back to the motion on the table. You can go around the table and ask if they.
all in favor?
Well, you have to ask if there's any other.
Is there any other comments? All in favor? Opposed?
Okay. Thank you for that. Acting Chair Kylie. Oh, thank you. Item number 8, introduction, reading, and consideration of bylaws. May I have a mover, Counselor Owens, seconded by Counselor Owen.
Moved by Counselor Casey Owen, seconded by Counselor Rick Owen. Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor, municipal clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 2475, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a municipal funding agreement with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario for the administration of the Canada Community Building Fund for 2024 to 2034.
All in favor? Opposed, none noted, item carried unanimous. Item number 9, questions from council to staff. Counselor Owen.
Yes, I brought this up last meeting, forgetting that I had already put forward a motion asking for a report. From the first time I went to AMO, and again, the second time we saw it again. These cutout signs are of a small child holding a sign that says, please slow down. And that's what we're talking about here, and I didn't get the report, so I'm just asking for an update on what's happening with that request.
To you, Madam Mayor, to council. We will have that report to you, to council, in the first quarter of next year. We've been having some staffing issues. And we will have a report, early next year. That way, if, there's any budget implications, it could be incorporated into the 2025 budget.
Thank you. Counselor Dykens?
Through you, Madam Mayor, maybe CAO Smith. I noticed this is related to the traffic calming. Larder Lake had a whole bunch of signs. It looked like election signs and it said to slow down. They had pictures of people in wheelchairs, kids playing and so on. And I just found out last week that it came from the Temiskaming Health Unit. I just wondered, did we know about that? Because I think they were given out free of charge. So I didn't know about it till recently. I just wondered if we knew about it and if that would have been a possibility.
Yep.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to all council, yes, the municipality did receive information from Temiskaming Health Unit on those signs, and that email was forwarded to the appropriate department.
Okay, but we didn't hear, sorry. Through you, Madam Mayor, so, but we didn't hear anything about it as a council, just. Okay, that's okay, I just was curious.
So, yes. Counselor Shaw.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, I did get one sign for my office in Lisbon. I don't know where the staff did get them from, but my understanding is that to the health unit. I don't know if you've seen those signs, Councilor Owens, would that do in lieu of this one, or was only talking about something different that you want?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Counselor Owen.
No, that's not what we're talking about at all.
Yeah.
Those are regular shaped signs that people see all the time. This is a totally different concept, which I believe will catch the motor side because it's a cutout of a kid, right? It's not like a rectangular sign. Having said that, hey, if we can get these signs free and use them, I have no problem with that as well.
So members of council did receive that through correspondence, and it is run through like an outside agency, Temiskaming Health Unit. So they had it on their website, on their social media, for any person in the communities, that they could have contacted, THU to pick them up. So it was well politicized, or well, advertised. Thank you for that word. Okay. So we can move on from questions of council. Do we have a motion? Okay, perfect. Item number 10, notices of motion. None noted. Item number 11, councilors' reports. Okay, members of the table, Counselor Owen.
Yes, through you, your worship. I'm gonna try and change my whole image tonight. And I want to stop being the bad guy and being the bearer of good news and happy times. At our last DSAT meeting, okay, going back, when we were doing the budget for DSAT, I had asked for a review of the reserves because in my opinion, they seem very high, not that I'm an expert. Historically, the town of Kirkland Lake had asked for reserves back from DSAT and they got nowhere with it. In fact, it just kind of pitted Kirkland Lake against the other communities that make up DSAT. I took a different approach. I asked the chair of DSAT board if we could have a review done of the reserves, which is, much friendlier way of saying same thing, but it's not threatening anybody, it's not dividing. And the board agreed that we should have a review done. And as a result, we are going to get a check, well, sorry, that shows my age. We are gonna get a transfer of money back this month. How much? I'm not exactly sure. But the working reserves, prior to the motion we passed at DSAP were $6,979,000. $6,979,953. The annual budget for DSAP is about 42 million, and the average monthly budget is approximately 3.5 million. Historically, the working reserve funds has been used to reduce the amount of money that we pay to DSAB each year, and that's since 2015, $1,917,100 has been used for this purpose. And as a result, the largest increase during that time period was only 2.62%. So it's not like DSAB wasn't using the reserves to benefit us. They were. Current DSAB policy says that the working reserve fund total can be up to 15% of the total budget. And this means the maximum working fund reserve should be $6,286,300. Before the transfers, the working capital reserve fund exceeded the 15% amount allowed under the DSAB Act. So there's a provincial regulation as well that comes into play here. They're only allowed to have 15% of their total budget in a reserve fund. At the recommendation of Janice Loranger, the DSAB Director of Finance, she recommended $700,000 of the reserve fund be transferred to the Housing Services capital budget. And the reasoning behind that is that the buildings that DSAB own are old and therefore are expensive to keep up. And that $800,000 be refunded to the municipalities. Now, to determine the refunds each municipality will get, they're using the same formula as what they use to determine what we pay them. So I'm not sure. That's why I say I don't know how much we're going to get back, but it'll be more than $5, I guarantee that. So it's all good news. So after the transfers, the DSAB working capital will be $5,479,953, which works out to about 1.5 months of DSAB's budget, which puts them within their own policy and also brings them down under the provincial regulations. The board approved the finance director's recommendations and the refund will be received in October. And I'm very, very happy that I was able to bring that forward to get some money refunded to us. Now, my recommendation, and it's just my recommendation, is that when we get that money, we put it in a reserve fund specific to cover DSAB increases. Because the last 15 years, DSAB's used reserve funds kept it down, but that won't go on forever. And as we saw with the health unit this year, they had refunded money to us. We put it in a reserve fund, we were able to use that to bring down the cost to the ratepayers at a much more reasonable rate. So that's what I'd recommend, and it's going to benefit everybody. Now, I had the pleasure on Sunday, September 29th, and Monday, September 30th, to represent the town at the powwow held at Civic Park. My participation included taking part in the grand entrance and carrying the town's flag and placing it in the center near the drummers. And at the end of each day,
I marched the flag off the grounds. Quite frankly, this is the most significant event that I've taken part in representing the town since I've been on council. And I did not expect that to be the case. And the reason that it was so significant to me was that members of the various Indigenous First Nations and Métis that took part made me feel very welcome and expressed their pleasure that the town of Kirkland Lake was taking part in the powwow. And that was something that really surprised me. They truly wanted us to be there. One of the most moving moments for me was when an Indigenous lady sat beside me, and this wasn't during the ceremonies, this was during the powwow, and told me about how happy she was to see a Kirkland Lake councillor taking part. Now, this lady was not part of the organizing committee, to my knowledge. She was just a resident. I don't know if she lives in Kirkland Lake or it's someone that I recognize facially. But that meant so much to me because here's an individual from the First Nation saying it meant something to her. The non-Indigenous community was taking part. So that was really something unexpected. Part of the reason for powwows is for the First Nations, the Indigenous people, to share their culture with non-Indigenous people. And as a reporter, I had a natural curiosity, and and that curiosity didn't go away when I retired. So I did ask questions about various things during my time at powwow. And, you know, they wanted to share. Whatever you asked about their culture, they wanted to share with non-Indigenous person like myself. I learned the history of the skirts with the bells on and how that's the only spirit skirt that there is. And another interesting thing that happened, my grandson Noah was at the powwow with his classmate. And I asked him if he would like to go and see the drummers and learn about the drums. And a drummer named Wolf, who was from the Temiskaming First Nation, was more than happy to share his information about the drums. He had made the drum he was playing by himself. It was made out of black ash, and and moose hide was the skin of the drum. He was really good in explaining in very like 7-year-old language about the drum. And during that process, he gave my grandson a drumstick. And it was interesting because he then wanted my grandson to play the drum. And my grandson was going. Until I said, pretend you're hitting your brother. And then we finally heard the drum. But we went back later because there was decorations on this drumstick. And they're all symbolic. They're not just, oh, I like red, I like blue, I like green, I'm gonna put it on my drumstick. And of course, the blue is the sky, the green is the land. The other colors represent the 4 directions. So, yeah, I mean, how neat is that and how is that not good reconciliation? You know, a non-Indigenous person asking about the culture and the sharing of the culture. And when I asked my grandson if I could bring this tonight, he first said no. He did not want his drumstick to leave the house, but I assured him I would bring it home, and which case he said yes. So, while we can't change the history, and we can't undo the cruelty that was done to Indigenous people, we can work together towards a better future for everyone. And that's the message I bring away from that powwow, and that's the message I would like to spread through this public council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Kylie?
Through you, your worship. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, had an eye operation. But congratulations go out to the Keepers of the Circle and the associate Indigenous groups. Based on the attendance that I heard, it was a complete success both days, had massive turnouts. So the different Indigenous groups which support that did a heck of a job, and they're to be congratulated for bringing this to our attention. And I feel reconciliation is well on its way in Kirkland Lake. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Absolutely. Anything further from members of council? For my part, my office has held meetings with community partners in regards to subdivision planning, including their continued support for the second round of Hughes funding. Let's all keep our fingers crossed. We need that money. I attended the Tech Centennial Library Board meeting on September 19th. The official reopened celebration of the Children's Department will take place November 7th. And of course, we all had that sneak peek prior to the last council. We are so thankful for the individuals and corporate donors who made that refresh project a success, and it did not cost the taxpayers a dime. Thank you to their generosity. On September 23rd, I gave remarks at the Take Back the Night event at the Stope and joined members of the community who walked Government Road to stand against sexual violence and support survivors. I attended the TSU Finance Committee meeting on the 24th by virtue of holding the chair position for Temiskaming Health Unit Board of Health. I was in North Bay to celebrate my daughter's graduation on the 25th when the latest flooding occurred. We had a portion of this evening that we were going to discuss that matter, but because the delegation didn't happen, I do want to assure people that though we cannot go back and change the past and the decisions of former council and former staff members, our current staff are working their way through years, if not decades, worth of deterioration to mitigate the flooding to all the areas, as well as the ongoing investigation by EXP to fully analyze the flooding situation. The current members of council, we can't go back, like I said, and we can't even direct current staff to do anything because it's all operations. But what we can do is we can let people know that our current administration and our current staff are doing everything they can to work to a solution to this problem. Though you may not see it in your backyard or in your neighborhood, Murdoch Creek runs a very large portion of our community. And so there's a ways to go and our staff are working on it as we speak. I attended a meeting with parents and children of adults with developmental disabilities regarding the wait times for spots in day program activities locally. I was there to like a future lobbying situation to the government of Ontario, which we often do from this table. But I was absolutely shocked to learn how many children are falling through the cracks and how piecemeal the system is for providing funding services to these individuals and their families. Several agencies are involved in funding and services, including Developmental Service Ontario, which is the access point for adult developmental services funded by the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services. They only have 9 locations across the province. When a child turns 18, according to their own website, services such as special services at home, assistance for children with severe disabilities, and services through the Ontario Autism Program end. Just end. This means parents must then apply through the DSO to see if they are eligible to receive adult MCSS funded supports available in their community. This doesn't even touch the multiple services for children run out of several different agencies as well. Though this is well outside the scope of municipal governments, I have to say that learning about it sent me down a Google rabbit hole that left me feeling so overwhelmed and full of dread for these families. I can only begin to imagine the difficulties they face trying to get to these services. So it was a real eye opener. And if at any time I can lobby or we can help lobby those higher levels of government, I suggest we take those opportunities. Today I attended the monthly Chamber of Commerce meeting. I'm a member of this body by virtue of holding the mayor's chair. The group is busy planning various social events, including the Santa Claus Parade. This year's theme will be the magic of Christmas. I hope everyone will be in attendance on November 22nd. This year, Council Member Dolly Dykens will be coordinating with the town's involvement. And I want to remind everyone that she is the reason that the town participates in the parade, because shortly after being elected, she insisted that we take part. If you can imagine, Dolly is insisting on anything. But she was the one that brought this to us, and she is the reason that we are so thankful that she will be spearheading that event this year for us. And lastly, I do want to congratulate Councillor Rick Owen on his announcement regarding the DSAP funding coming back to us. He managed to do something that a former council member, Todd Morgan, failed to do so many years ago. Like I mentioned, I used to sit in the galley, and I remember Mr. Morgan bringing it with high levels of frustration that money should be returned to the municipalities, or a portion of that monies should be. So congratulations for your advocacy for the town of Kirkland Lake, Councillor Owen, and of course, Councillor Kylie also sits on that board as well. So Councillor Owen, thank you for your advocacy. And that is it, Madam Clerk. Oh, sorry, mover to accept the motion for information, Councillor Owens, seconded by Councillor Kylie.
Be it resolved that the verbal updates from members of council be received.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. Item number 12, additional information is the proclamation for Local Government Week, October 13th to the 19th, 2024. Whereas the week of October 13th through the 19th, 2024 has been designated as Local Government Week in Ontario, creating an opportunity to reflect on and recognize the essential services delivered by municipal governments. And whereas this week celebrates the significant impact of these services on the daily lives of residents across Ontario. And whereas municipal governments are instrumental in shaping the identity, priorities, infrastructure, and overall well-being of communities throughout Ontario. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Stacey White, Mayor of the town of Kirkland Lake, do hereby proclaim October 13th to the 19th, 2024 as Local Government Week in the town of Kirkland Lake. Motion, yep. Can I have a mover? Councillor Dykens, and seconder. Councillor Owens.
Be it resolved that council sanction the proclamation for Local Government Week, October 13th to the 19th, 2024 in the town of Kirkland Lake.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 13, closed session. There is none this evening. Item 14, obviously there are no matters for me in closed session. Item number 15, confirmation bylaw. I moved by Councillor Owen, seconded by Councillor Shabbat. Thank you, sir.
Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read Number passed, signed by the mayor and municipal clerk, and bills appropriated, be affixed thereto, bylaw number 2476, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Tuesday, October 1st, 2024.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Yeah. Item number 16, adjournment, mover. Counselor Dyken, so moved.
7:04.
4. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous.